Good morning in the dark. Good morning, people. Good morning, fellow humans, colorful nuts. Today is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2023. Wrong. Nope. Cut. Edit that out. Today is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, the second day of the new year. Tuesday, great day to get started. Yesterday was the Monday, the starter day. Today is the day to start making things happen. So it's going to be a big day for me. Hopefully it's going to be a big day for you too. We're going to try to help you do that with my partner out there, Wada Bevy, my partner and sidekick, Wada Bevy, in parts unknown, somewhere in Virginia. Okay, but here we are in southwestern Nevada, near the border of California. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. It's a cold morning out there, but we are here to help you get from where you are to someplace better on your journey through life. That's it. No big deal. Just to help you get from point A to point B in your journey. We do that by helping you learn about some tools and help you figure out how to use those tools, because it's not good to have tools that you don't use, and it's not good to know how to use tools but don't have them. So we have experts which are contained in the worksheet. There's a link to it below, to the worksheet. You can go to the worksheet. I gotta check that. Note to self, check to make sure that we can get to the January worksheets and podcasts. They're on the websites as well. I think we might have links to the websites. Anyway, time is racing. So how do we help you learn to use the tools? Well, the tools are contained in the worksheets. Worksheets are on the websites, thrivingwarriors.us and lovethineighbor-nv.com. You can find the podcast and the worksheets there. That's where the tools are located and how to use the tools. Here, this is just a short 10-minute-ish sort of, but not really, podcast where we focus on two things live plus three. So morning routine. So we talked about routines are important. Morning routine comprised of podcast and other things for about 5 minutes after the podcast. There's three things to do after the podcast. One is to have an attitude of gratitude, which we're going to talk about. Two is to review yesterday, examine how you were yesterday. There's 4 questions to ask yourself. And 3 is to project the day and then go do it. Just like an athlete, they see the shot before they take the shot. They see the shot and then they just do it. Golfer, baseball player, basketball player, football player, soccer player, tennis player, everybody, they see the shot and then they take the shot. Okay, so there we go. Better. Sort of. The links are on the websites for those. And the podcast has 2 parts: a breathing exercise and a planning exercise. Breathing is very important. We use a Andrew Huberman from Stanford breathing approach that can be used to either give you energy or to remove anxiousness. And the idea is to get as much air in your lungs as possible and either increase or decrease your heart rate. So if you decrease your heart rate, your anxiousness will go down. If you increase it, your energy will go up. So we're going to do the energy up one. Okay. So, and let us begin. Exhale on 3, 2, 1. Pushing in the stomach. Good. All righty then. We're at halfway through. Went and saw a good movie-ish, interesting movie yesterday. Ferrari. Uh, I don't know. This maybe is the new type of really hyper-thinking movies because it's you come out of there saying, "Wow, it was interesting, it was cool, but what was the point? What was it about?" So if you go thinking that it's a racing film, no. If you go there thinking it's a film of the hero's journey, no. I don't know that Ferrari's arc really changed. Might have just explained him a little bit. Um, his wife, Penelope Cruz, her arc, I think, changed. She was kind of the hero. The mistress arc didn't really change. So, but a high budget movie shows the 100% commitment for people at that top of the top of the top of the pyramid. Very different from uh, normal people. Total fanatical commitment. Either you're going to break or we're both going to die, but I'm not going to break. So, and here we are. Attitude of gratitude. Let's talk about that briefly. Then I want to talk about today's TED Talk, which is day 2 in our 4-week neuroscience-oriented approach to success. Today is day 2, IQ. We're going to talk about that in a second, but let's talk about attitude of gratitude. So what does that mean? Well, it pretty much means exactly where'd it go? Okay, there I am. It pretty much means exactly what it says. Have an attitude of gratitude. People are attracted to people who are attractive. You're not attractive when you have an attitude of negativity, hostility, fear, uncertainty, doubt, VUCA, FUD or VUCA. You have to have a high TOFA, tolerance of ambiguity. VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Have to be able to handle today's world of VUCA. At the end of the day, because at the end of the day, from a spiritual perspective, it just doesn't matter. To quote Bill Murray in Meatballs, it just doesn't matter. What matters is nurturing and sharing the spark of the creator within us. It's not about the world of men and machines. Attitude of gratitude. Have an attitude of gratitude, because no matter how bad you have it, I can promise you there are at least 7 billion people who would trade places with you, bam, right now. No matter how bad you have it. And let's say there's 350 million Americans, at least half of them, probably 2/3, would trade places with you right now, no matter how bad your life is. That people have it a lot worse. You have hundreds of thousands of people crossing the border, carrying their possessions with them. Whatever they have is coming with them. However bad you have it, they have it worse. So have an attitude of gratitude and watch what happens. Watch what happens when you have an attitude of gratitude. Things get better. Be appreciative for what you have. Okay, let's talk about IQ. Today is a great video, day 2, week 1, kind of introduction and orientation to the neuroscience-oriented approach to success. Jordan Peterson talking about IQ. So just imagine, well, this is a fact. Every job has an IQ range. You have to have an IQ at least of this, but not higher than that. If it's higher than that, problems happen. If it's down here where you can barely do the job is really hard, you make a lot of mistakes, your boss thinks you're a moron, and your coworkers think you're an idiot, and they don't want you to do things because you're going to screw things up, and that's going to mean more work for them. Right? Right. So that's down here. Here, the job is too easy. It's boring. Your boss looks like a moron. And your coworkers look like idiots. You go home from both of those. If your IQ is too low, if your IQ is too high, you go home dissatisfied, not good. So it turns out, according to Jordan Peterson, that your IQ should be at the top 25%, not in the top 25%, but ideally right around 25%, because then the job is interesting to you, not too hard. It's a little bit challenging. It's challenging enough, not too challenging, not too easy. It's in that Goldilocks zone if it's just right, not too hard, not too easy, just right. Well, how do you know? Well, there is a IQ test that does that. And he mentions what it is, and that's the test that we take. We have our people take, or they can take, to tell you, A, what your IQ is, but they also have a key guide that tells you the different jobs, what the IQ range is for those jobs. And so for a lawyer, for an attorney, you have to have an IQ of about 100, at least 115. So that should tell you anybody who's a lawyer or an attorney, member of the bar, you know they have an IQ of at least 115. Could be way, way higher, but at least it's that. Whereas somebody that works at 7-Eleven probably has an IQ of around 101. IQ, 7-Eleven is a challenging position. It's not just standing around. Now, I can't say that about other convenience stores, but 7-Eleven definitely for sure. So cops, pretty low, not really high. You don't have to have a good high IQ to be a cop or a sheriff deputy, somebody like that. You're somebody that takes orders. You just take. Anyway, moving along, every job has an IQ range. If you know what your IQ range is, you know what kind of job you should have. Take the guesswork out of it. But if we also apply the rule that the people you hang out with the most have the most influence on you, who should you hang out with? If your IQ is here, should you hang out with people who have an IQ here or here? Right, here. Now, for people in prison who have a high-ish IQ, part of the problem is most of the people in prison have an IQ. If this is 105, the typical person in prison is probably around 90 IQ. And so what tends to happen is you begin to think that you're smart. So you carry out into the world that you're smart because you've been the smart guy. Dangerous trap to fall into, because when you get around people who are actually smart, people with an IQ of 120, 130, 140, and we're talking about crystallized IQ, not fluid IQ, crystallized IQ in that high area, you might think that you are equivalent to them because they have lowered themselves down to be able to communicate with you. But if you try to go up to the level that they normally communicate with other people, let's say a physics professor, even at someplace like UNLV, you come out of prison with an IQ of 105, you think you're smart because you're around people with an IQ of 90. They barely understand what you're thinking of, but you think you have an IQ of up here. Well, you really don't. This person came down so you could communicate with them. But if you try to go to their level, disaster. And you should just keep that in mind. That know what your IQ is, be able to estimate the IQs of the people around you. Always try to go up to the highest IQ level you can. Be around interesting people. Don't pat yourself on the back, release dopamine by saying, wow, man, I like being around. Those people make me feel good because they make me feel smart. That's an easy trap to fall into. Be a student. Learn. Don't be an expert. Don't go to Bible study because you're the expert. Go to Bible study. Go to a Bible study where you're the student, where you're learning, not confirming what you believe, where you're learning what they think, what they know. And that's another Jordan Peterson thing of be around people you don't agree with because you can learn something from them. Hard to learn from people who believe the same things you believe. And I'm noticing that in the Republican Party up here. Um, I think they call it, some people call it the echo chamber, where you're just around people who believe the same things you believe. If you have a slightly different belief, they will attack you. Versus there's a whole bunch of people out there. There's 17,000 people out there that for some reason are not in our club. We've got 100 people in our club. There's 17,000, almost 17,000 people who are not in our club. It's either because they don't know about it or they do know about it and they don't want to join. And based upon the fact that we've had about 100 people for several years, it probably means that if they found out about it, there would be no compelling reason to join anyway. Okay, we're at 16 minutes in. Let's cut it short. What up, Bevy? How are you feeling? You feeling better today? I will hope to talk to you. I will be in the car on the way to Lost Wages to the VA at about 8 o'clock. I would like to call you around that time. Send me a text if that works for you. Right now, I've got to get these things posted, get on the Peloton, and kick booty. I'm in the ER again. Ew. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye. And cut.